Did you know that approximately 6.2% of the general population could be diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, according to research published in the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry? This is a startling statistic that highlights the prevalence of narcissism in our society. It's not just confined to the realms of Hollywood or the corporate ladder, but it permeates through every stratum of our lives, including our intimate relationships. So, what does this mean for us? Well, imagine every 100 people you meet, potentially 6 of them could be narcissists. And these are not just people you cross paths with, but they could be individuals you share your life with, your partner, your spouse. The impacts of such a relationship can be severe, often leading to feelings of manipulation, inadequacy, and emotional exhaustion. Given these facts, it's not an overstatement to say that narcissism is not just a personality trait. It's a serious issue that can disrupt lives and relationships. With such a significant percentage of the population potentially displaying narcissistic traits, it's crucial to understand the signs of a narcissistic relationship. Imagine a relationship where you constantly feel inadequate, manipulated, and responsible for everything that goes wrong. Let's consider a hypothetical story. Meet Alex, a warm-hearted, empathetic individual who finds himself in a relationship that's anything but ordinary. He's in love with Sam, who is charming, charismatic, and seemingly perfect at first glance. But as time passes, Alex begins to feel a strain that he cannot quite put his finger on. In the beginning, Sam's attention was flattering. It felt as if the world revolved around Alex, but gradually that attention became intense, almost suffocating. Every little move, every word, every action of Alex's was scrutinized, often met with criticism or disapproval. It seemed that no matter how hard Alex tried, it was never enough for Sam. Sam had a way of twisting words, manipulating situations to make it seem like it was always Alex's fault. Every disagreement, every argument, every misunderstanding, it was always Alex who was to blame. The guilt weighed heavily on him, leaving him feeling drained and vulnerable. And then there were the times when Sam would just shut down, completely ignoring Alex, giving him the silent treatment. It was a form of punishment that left Alex feeling isolated and unloved. And the worst part, Alex began to believe that he deserved this treatment. This is a classic example of a narcissistic relationship. It's a relationship where one partner holds an exaggerated sense of their own importance, while dismissing or undermining the feelings and needs of the other. It's a relationship that's built on manipulation, control, and a distinct lack of empathy. Alex's story is not uncommon and could be happening to anyone, including you. One of the biggest signs of a narcissistic relationship is a lack of empathy. Let's delve into this by exploring Alex's story. Alex was in a relationship where his feelings and needs were often sidelined. He found himself in situations where he would express his emotions, but they would fall on deaf ears. His partner seemed indifferent, almost as if Alex's feelings were an inconvenience or simply unimportant. You see, empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's the glue that holds relationships together, allowing us to connect on a deeper level. It's about acknowledging another person's experiences, validating their emotions, and showing that we care. But in Alex's case, his partner showed a distinct lack of empathy. When Alex was upset, his partner would dismiss his feelings, often telling him he was overreacting or being too sensitive. When he needed support, his partner was absent or unresponsive. It was as if his partner was incapable of stepping into his shoes and understanding his perspective. This lack of empathy extended to other areas of their relationship as well. Alex's needs and desires were consistently overlooked. Whether it was about choosing a restaurant for dinner or deciding on a vacation spot, his partner's preferences always trumped his. His voice was drowned in the relentless tide of his partner's self-centeredness. What Alex experienced is not uncommon in narcissistic relationships. Narcissists often lack the ability to empathize with others. They're so caught up in their own world that they fail to recognize or appreciate the feelings of those around them. This lack of empathy can be deeply damaging. It can lead to feelings of isolation, low self-esteem, and emotional exhaustion. It can make you feel like you're alone in a relationship, fighting a losing battle for your emotional needs to be acknowledged and valued. So, if you find yourself in a relationship where your feelings are consistently dismissed or your needs are constantly overlooked, take a step back. Reflect. A lack of empathy can be a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. Manipulation is another telltale sign of a narcissistic relationship. This is a tactic so subtle yet so powerful that it can turn your world upside down without you even realizing it. Let's take a look at Alex's story, which serves as a perfect illustration of this point. Alex was in a relationship where his partner never missed an opportunity to use guilt or fear to control him. Whenever Alex wanted to spend time with his friends, his partner would express feelings of abandonment, making Alex feel guilty for wanting a bit of personal space. This guilt-tripping was a manipulative tactic used to ensure Alex was always available. Another instance of manipulation in Alex's story involved the use of fear. His partner would often threaten to leave him if he didn't comply with her demands. This fear of abandonment pushed Alex to agree to things he wouldn't normally, just to appease his partner and keep the relationship intact. On the surface, these manipulations might seem like expressions of love or concern, but they are far from it. They are calculated moves designed to control and dominate. The more Alex gave in to these manipulations, the more power his partner held over him, creating an unhealthy power dynamic in their relationship. In such scenarios, the manipulated person often feels responsible for the manipulator's happiness, which is an enormous burden to bear. It's a vicious cycle that is hard to break, but recognizing it is the first step towards healing. Manipulation is a common tool used by narcissists to maintain control in a relationship. If you find yourself in a situation similar to Alex's, remember that it's not about you. It's about them and their need for control. You have the right to live your life free from manipulation and fear. Sign 3 of a narcissistic relationship is constant criticism and blame. Let's unpack this a bit further. In a narcissistic relationship, one partner often places an unreasonable amount of blame and criticism on the other. This can take the form of harsh remarks, belittling comments, or constant fault-finding. For instance, in Alex's case, Sam was always quick to point out his flaws, whether it was his cooking skills, his choice of clothes, or even his taste in music. No matter what Alex did, it was never good enough for Sam. Sam's criticism was relentless, and it extended to all aspects of Alex's life. Even his accomplishments were downplayed or ignored, while his mistakes were magnified and constantly brought up. This constant criticism left Alex feeling insecure and inadequate, often questioning his worth and abilities. He found himself walking on eggshells, trying to avoid any situation that might trigger Sam's criticism. The blame was another aspect that was hard to deal with. Whenever something went wrong, Sam was quick to put the blame on Alex. Whether it was a missed appointment or a disagreement with friends, it was always Alex's fault. Even when Sam was clearly in the wrong, he had a way of twisting the situation and making Alex feel guilty. This constant blame left Alex feeling responsible for all the problems in their relationship. It created a cycle of guilt and self-blame that was hard to break free from. Sign 3, constant criticism and blame, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. It can lead to feelings of worthlessness, guilt, and low self-esteem. If you find yourself in a situation where you're constantly criticized or blamed for everything that goes wrong, take a moment to reflect. It's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes and no one is perfect. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise. Sign 4 of a narcissistic relationship is gaslighting and reality distortion. This is a technique commonly used by narcissists to manipulate the perception of their partners. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation where the abuser sows seeds of doubt in the victim's mind, making them question their own memory, perception, or sanity. Let's take a closer look at this through Alex's experiences. Alex often found himself questioning his own reality. Sam had a way of twisting the truth, making Alex believe that what he remembered or experienced was false. For example, when Alex confronted Sam about a hurtful remark, Sam would deny it ever happened or accuse Alex of misunderstanding. Over time, this constant gaslighting made Alex doubt his own memory and judgment. He found himself constantly second-guessing, never sure if what he remembered was real or just a figment of his imagination. This reality distortion extended beyond their personal interactions. Sam would often misrepresent events or situations to others, painting Alex in a bad light. This not only isolated Alex, but also served to further distort his reality, as others began to view him through Sam's skewed lens. The impact of this gaslighting and reality distortion was profound. It left Alex feeling confused, disoriented, and emotionally drained. He struggled to trust his own feelings and perceptions, leading to a deep sense of insecurity and self-doubt. Sign 4, gaslighting and reality distortion, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. It can lead to feelings of confusion, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. If you find yourself in a situation where your experiences are constantly invalidated or your reality is being distorted, take a moment to reflect. Trust in your perceptions and remember that no one has the right to manipulate your reality. Sign 5 of a narcissistic relationship is the use of silent treatment and emotional withdrawal as a form of punishment. Silent treatment is a passive-aggressive form of emotional abuse that narcissists use to punish their partner or to exert control. This can be seen in the way Alex's partner, Sam, would suddenly become cold and distant, refusing to communicate or engage with Alex whenever he did something that Sam didn't approve of. For instance, if Alex voiced a differing opinion or failed to meet Sam's high expectations, Sam would respond with complete silence, ignoring Alex's attempts at communication. This silent treatment would last for hours, sometimes even days, leaving Alex feeling anxious, guilty, and desperate for reconciliation. Emotional withdrawal, on the other hand, is when the narcissist withholds affection, support, or attention as a form of manipulation. Sam would often use this tactic when Alex expressed his feelings or needs, dismissing him outright, or retreating into a shell, leaving Alex feeling alone and unsupported. The impact of this silent treatment and emotional withdrawal was severe. It left Alex feeling rejected, confused, and emotionally destabilized. He found himself walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid doing anything that might trigger Sam's silent treatment or emotional withdrawal. It created a sense of uncertainty and instability in their relationship, as Alex never knew when Sam might switch from being warm and affectionate to cold and distant. Sign 5, the silent treatment and emotional withdrawal, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a situation where you're consistently being punished with silence or emotional withdrawal, it's important to recognize that this is not normal or healthy behavior. It's a form of emotional abuse designed to control and manipulate. Remember, everyone deserves to be in a relationship where they feel valued, supported, and loved. Sign 6 of a narcissistic relationship is the display of superficial charm and grandiosity. This is another manipulative tactic that narcissists often use to control and dominate their relationships. Superficial charm refers to the narcissist's ability to present themselves as charming, charismatic, and engaging, especially at the beginning of a relationship or in public settings. They use this charm to draw people in, to create a positive impression, and to mask their more harmful behaviors. For example, in Alex's relationship, Sam was always the life of the party. He was charming, outgoing, and charismatic, always knowing exactly what to say to make people laugh or feel good about themselves. He was able to win over Alex's friends and family with his charm, making it difficult for them to see the abusive behaviors that Alex was experiencing behind closed doors. Grandiosity, on the other hand, refers to the narcissist's inflated sense of self-importance and superiority. They believe that they are special, unique, and superior to others, and they expect to be recognized and treated as such. In Alex's case, Sam often boasted about his accomplishments, exaggerated his abilities, and expected others to admire and praise him. He believed that he was entitled to special treatment and that his needs and desires were more important than Alex's. This grandiosity often left Alex feeling small, insignificant, and overshadowed. If you find yourself in a relationship where your partner is charming and charismatic in public, but abusive and controlling in private, or where your partner has an inflated sense of self-importance and expects to be treated as superior, it's important to recognize that these behaviors are not normal or healthy. They are manipulative tactics designed to control and dominate. Remember, everyone deserves to be in a relationship where they are valued and respected as an equal. Sign 7 of a narcissistic relationship is the presence of exploitation and entitlement. This typically manifests as the narcissist taking advantage of others to achieve their own ends, coupled with an excessive expectation of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with their expectations. For instance, in Alex's relationship, Sam would often use Alex's resources without his permission or without giving anything in return. Sam would take Alex's car without asking, use his credit card for personal purchases, or rely on Alex to do all the house chores. This exploitative behavior was justified by Sam's sense of entitlement. Sam believed that he deserved to have access to Alex's resources, simply because of who he is. This entitlement extended beyond just using Alex's resources. Sam also felt entitled to Alex's time, attention, and emotional support. He would demand that Alex drop everything to cater to his needs, without considering Alex's own responsibilities or feelings. The impact of this exploitation and entitlement can be devastating. It can lead to feelings of being used, devalued, and disrespected. It can also drain the victim's resources, energy, and self-esteem. Sign 7, the presence of exploitation and entitlement, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where your partner is consistently taking advantage of your resources, time or emotional energy, without giving anything in return, or where your partner expects and feels entitled to, special treatment without consideration for your own needs or feelings, it's important to recognize that these behaviors are not normal or healthy. They are signs of a narcissistic relationship, and you deserve better. Sign 8 of a narcissistic relationship is deflection and projection. This usually shows up when the narcissist refuses to take responsibility for their actions or mistakes and instead diverts the blame onto their partner. For instance, in Alex's relationship, whenever he brought up an issue, Sam would twist the situation to make it seem like Alex was the one at fault. If Alex complained about Sam's lack of consideration, Sam would retort, "You're just too sensitive," or "You're making a big deal out of nothing." This deflection tactic was used to divert attention away from Sam's behavior and onto Alex's reactions. Another form of deflection is projection. This is when the narcissist attributes their own negative traits or behaviors to their partner. Sam would often accuse Alex of being selfish, when in reality it was Sam who consistently put his needs above Alex's. This projection served two purposes. It justified Sam's behavior and made Alex question his own actions and intentions. The impact of deflection and projection can be incredibly damaging. It can make the victim question their own reality and feel guilty for things they haven't done. It can also create a toxic cycle where the victim is always on the defensive, constantly trying to prove their innocence instead of addressing the real issues at hand. Sign 8, the presence of deflection and projection, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where your partner consistently deflects blame and projects their negative traits onto you, it's important to recognize these behaviors for what they are. They are not signs of a healthy relationship, but rather signs of a narcissistic one. You deserve a relationship based on mutual respect and accountability, not deflection and projection. Sign 9 of a narcissistic relationship is the emotional rollercoaster. This term describes the constant ups and downs, highs and lows that victims in narcissistic relationships experience. The narcissist, like Sam, creates a whirlwind of emotions, leaving their partner, like Alex, feeling unstable, insecure, and constantly on edge. Let's take a deeper look at this. Alex often found himself in a cycle of intense love and affection, followed by periods of cold indifference from Sam. One moment, Sam would shower him with praise and attention, making him feel loved and valued. The next moment, Sam would withdraw his affection, leaving Alex feeling rejected and confused. This pattern is common in narcissistic relationships. It is a manipulative tactic used to keep the victim off balance and in a constant state of emotional turmoil. The impact of this emotional roller coaster can be profound and far-reaching. It can lead to feelings of anxiety, depression, and self-doubt. It can make the victim question their worth and their ability to maintain a healthy relationship. It can create a dependency on the narcissist for validation and love. In Alex's case, he became so accustomed to this cycle that he started to believe that this was what a normal relationship looked like. He began to justify Sam's behavior, blaming himself for the sudden changes in Sam's attitude towards him. He started to believe that if he could just be better, do better, then maybe Sam would love him consistently. But this is a dangerous belief. It can trap the victim in a toxic relationship, convincing them that they are the problem, not the narcissist. Sign 9, the emotional roller coaster, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where you are constantly riding a wave of highs and lows, where your emotional state is dictated by the whims of your partner, it's important to recognize this for what it is. It is not a sign of a passionate, intense love. It is a sign of a toxic, narcissistic relationship. You deserve a relationship that is stable, respectful, and loving. Not one that leaves you feeling like you're on a never-ending emotional roller coaster. Sign 10 of a narcissistic relationship is devaluation and discard. This is a two-step process that narcissists often use to maintain control in their relationships. After idealizing their partners and placing them on a pedestal during the initial stages of the relationship, the narcissist begins to devalue them. They belittle their partners, criticize them, and make them feel worthless. Let's follow Alex's story to understand this better. After a period of intense affection, Sam started to change. He began to criticize Alex for his habits, his looks, even his dreams. He made snide remarks about Alex's job and friends. He belittled Alex's achievements, making him feel insignificant. This devaluation left Alex feeling confused and hurt. He couldn't understand why the person who had once adored him was now tearing him down. But this is exactly what narcissists do. They devalue their partners to make them feel insecure, to make them doubt their self-worth. And once the devaluation phase is over, comes the discard. Narcissists often abruptly end the relationship or withdraw their affection without any explanation. For Alex, this came in the form of Sam suddenly breaking up with him, leaving him heartbroken and confused. The discard phase can be incredibly painful. It leaves the victim feeling abandoned, rejected, and alone. The impact of devaluation and discard can be devastating. It can lead to feelings of worthlessness, anxiety, and depression. It can make the victim question their self-worth and their ability to maintain a healthy relationship. Sign 10, devaluation and discard, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where you are constantly belittled and then discarded without any explanation, it's important to recognize this for what it is. It is not a sign of your inadequacy. It is a sign of a toxic, narcissistic relationship. You deserve a relationship that uplifts you, respects you, and values you, not one that tears you down and discards you without a second thought. Sign 11 of a narcissistic relationship is isolation and control. Narcissists often attempt to isolate their partners from their support network, including friends and family. By doing so, they gain more control and reduce the likelihood of others noticing the abuse. Now let's understand this through Alex's experience. As his relationship with Sam progressed, he noticed a growing distance between him and his close friends. Sam would often make derogatory comments about Alex's friends, and he would always find reasons to keep Alex from seeing them. He manipulated Alex into believing that his friends were bad influences, that they didn't truly care for him, and that he should spend more time with Sam instead. This isolation didn't stop with friends, it extended to Alex's family as well. Eventually, Alex found himself isolated and completely dependent on Sam emotionally. But isolation is just one side of the coin, the other being control. Sam took control of Alex's life in subtle ways. He dictated his dressing style, his food habits, even his hobbies. He would often make decisions on behalf of Alex under the guise of knowing what's best for him. Sam's control over Alex's life was so pervasive that Alex started losing his sense of self. He felt like he was living Sam's life, not his own. The impact of isolation and control can be profound. It can lead to feelings of loneliness, helplessness, and dependency. It can strip you of your self-esteem and your sense of individuality. It can make you feel trapped in a relationship with no way out. Sign 11. Isolation and control is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where you're being isolated from your loved ones and your life is being controlled by your partner, it's time to take a step back. Remember, you have the right to maintain your relationships and to make your own decisions. You deserve a relationship that respects your autonomy and values your individuality. Sign 12 of a narcissistic relationship is emotional invalidity. In such relationships, the narcissist often invalidates the feelings of their partner, making them feel unimportant or irrational. Let's illuminate this with Alex's experience. Whenever Alex expressed his feelings, whether it was anger, sadness, or frustration, Sam would dismiss them. He would tell Alex that he was overreacting or that his feelings were unjustified. For instance, when Alex expressed his frustration about being isolated from his friends, Sam would tell him that he was being overly sensitive and that he should be grateful for the extra attention he was receiving. Over time, this constant invalidation made Alex doubt his own feelings. He began to question if his emotions were indeed irrational or exaggerated. He started suppressing his feelings, thinking that they were invalid. This is a common tactic used by narcissists. By invalidating their partner's feelings, they undermine their self-confidence, making them doubt their own emotions and perceptions. The impact of emotional invalidity can be severe. It can lead to self-doubt, low self-esteem, and emotional suppression. It can make you question your worth and your ability to feel and express emotions. It can trap you in a cycle of emotional abuse where you feel like your feelings are unimportant or wrong. Sign 12. Emotional invalidity is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where your feelings are consistently dismissed or invalidated, it's time to take a step back. Remember, your emotions are valid. You have the right to feel and express your emotions, and you deserve a partner who acknowledges and respects your feelings. Sign 13 of a narcissistic relationship is emotional coercion. This is a tactic where the narcissist uses emotional manipulation to force their partner into doing something they might not want to do. Let's delve into this with Alex's experience. Whenever Alex tried to set boundaries or express his needs, Sam would use guilt or fear to manipulate him. For example, when Alex wanted to spend a weekend with his friends, Sam would accuse him of not caring about their relationship or threatening to end things. This emotional coercion left Alex feeling trapped and scared. He ended up compromising on his needs and desires to keep the peace. Narcissists use emotional coercion to maintain control and power in the relationship. They manipulate their partner's feelings to get their way without any regard for their partner's needs or boundaries. This can lead to a pattern of emotional abuse where the victim feels like they have to constantly appease the narcissist to avoid conflict or punishment. The impact of emotional coercion can be devastating. It can lead to feelings of guilt, fear, and helplessness. It can erode your self-esteem and your ability to set healthy boundaries. It can trap you in a cycle of abuse where you feel like you have to constantly give in to the narcissist's demands to avoid their wrath. Sign 13, emotional coercion, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly being manipulated into doing things you don't want to do, it's time to take a step back. Remember, you have the right to set boundaries and make decisions for yourself. You deserve a partner who respects your boundaries and values your needs. Sign 14 of a narcissistic relationship is pathological lying. Narcissists often lie habitually without remorse or consideration for the truth. Let's see how this played out in Alex's situation. Alex noticed that Sam would consistently tell lies, both big and small. Whether it was about where he'd been, what he'd done, or even about trivial matters, Sam seemed to have an inherent need to manipulate the truth. Over time, Alex discovered that these lies served a purpose. They were a tool to control, manipulate, and maintain the upper hand in their relationship. Pathological lying in narcissistic relationships often serves to gaslight the victim, making them question their own reality and judgment. For instance, when Alex confronted Sam about his lies, Sam would vehemently deny them and accuse Alex of being paranoid or mistrustful. This left Alex feeling confused and doubting his own perceptions, which is exactly what Sam intended. Dealing with a partner who constantly lies can be incredibly damaging. It erodes trust, the bedrock of any healthy relationship. It creates a climate of uncertainty and insecurity, where the victim is constantly on edge, never knowing what to believe. It can also lead to feelings of worthlessness and low self-esteem, as the victim starts to internalize the blame for their partner's dishonesty. Sign 14, pathological lying, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where your partner is constantly lying and making you doubt your own perceptions, it's time to take a step back. Remember, honesty and trust are fundamental to a healthy relationship. You deserve a partner who respects you enough to tell you the truth. Sign 15 of a narcissistic relationship is emotional neglect. Narcissists can be emotionally absent, often neglecting the emotional needs of their partners. Let's see how this unfolded in Alex's relationship. Despite being in a relationship, Alex often felt alone, like he was fighting a battle with no one by his side. He yearned for emotional support from Sam, but it was like reaching out into a void. When Alex was going through a tough time, Sam didn't provide comfort or reassurance. Instead, he would dismiss Alex's feelings, or worse, use them as a weapon to manipulate and control him. This is the harsh reality of emotional neglect. It's an invisible wound that cuts deep. A neglected partner may feel unseen, unheard, and unimportant. They may constantly strive for their partner's attention, only to be met with indifference. For Alex, this was a devastating experience. He began to doubt his own worth, questioning if he deserved love and care. The impact of emotional neglect in a relationship can be profound. It can lead to feelings of loneliness, low self-esteem, and emotional distress. It can also cause the victim to suppress their emotions, fearing that expressing their feelings might lead to further neglect or even punishment. Sign 15, emotional neglect, is a clear indicator of a narcissistic relationship. If you find yourself in a relationship where your emotional needs are consistently ignored or dismissed, it's time to reassess. You deserve a partner who values your emotions, who provides comfort and support when you need it. Don't let anyone make you feel like your feelings don't matter. When you're stuck in a narcissistic relationship, it can feel like you're trapped in a never-ending cycle of emotional turmoil. Now let's take a moment to step back and see the bigger picture. As we navigate through Alex's journey, we've witnessed a pattern of behaviors that are typical in a narcissistic relationship. From constant criticism and blame to gaslighting and reality distortion, from silent treatment and emotional withdrawal to superficial charm and grandiosity, we've seen how Alex's partner systematically undermined his self-esteem and manipulated his emotions. But recognizing this cycle is a crucial step towards breaking free. It's about connecting the dots and understanding that these behaviors are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger, more destructive pattern. It's about realizing that this is not what love looks like. Love is about respect, understanding, and mutual growth, not control, manipulation, and constant turmoil. Recognizing the cycle also means acknowledging that you're not to blame. It's easy to internalize the blame in a narcissistic relationship, to believe that you're the problem. But remember, the behaviors of a narcissist are a reflection of their insecurities, not your worth. So if you find yourself in a relationship where you're constantly walking on eggshells, where your emotions are manipulated, and your self-esteem is eroded, it's time to take a step back. It's time to recognize the cycle and take the necessary steps to protect yourself and reclaim your power. Recognizing the signs of a narcissistic relationship is the first step to seeking help and breaking free. Let's take a moment to recap what we've explored today. We dove into the depths of narcissistic relationships, shedding light on 15 signs that you might be in one. We used Alex's story to illustrate these signs, driving home the reality of how such behaviors can manifest in a relationship. Firstly, we discussed the lack of empathy, a hallmark of narcissistic relationships. Alex often felt that his partner was indifferent to his feelings, showing little to no concern for his well-being. This lack of empathy can leave one feeling unseen, unheard, and unloved. Next, we delved into manipulation, a common tool used by narcissists to control their partners. Alex found himself constantly walking on eggshells, always trying to appease his partner in fear of retaliation or punishment. He felt trapped, like a puppet on strings, dancing to the whims of his partner. We also touched on gaslighting, where Alex's partner would distort his reality, making him question his memory and sanity. This is a powerful and sinister form of manipulation that can lead to severe emotional distress. Constant criticism was another sign we explored. Alex was under relentless scrutiny, with his partner always finding ways to belittle him, making him feel inadequate. This constant barrage of negativity can erode one's self-esteem, leading to feelings of worthlessness and self-doubt. We highlighted the feeling of disconnection, where despite being in a relationship, Alex felt profoundly alone. Narcissists tend to focus solely on their needs, often ignoring or dismissing their partner's needs, leading to a profound sense of isolation. Lastly, we discussed financial entrapment, where Alex's partner exerted control over their shared finances, limiting his financial freedom and independence. These signs, as we saw in Alex's story, are not always obvious at first glance. They can creep into a relationship subtly, gradually chipping away at one's sense of self. Recognizing them is crucial, as it is the first step towards seeking help and breaking free. Remember, if you find yourself relating to Alex's story, know that you are not alone. There are resources and support available to help you navigate through this difficult journey. Whether it's seeking help from a mental health professional, reaching out to support groups, or confiding in trusted friends or family, help is available. Remember, you are not alone. There are resources and support available to help you navigate through this difficult journey. If this video about the clear signs you're in a narcissistic relationship resonated with you, or you found it useful, we invite you to share your experience of dealing with narcissism by leaving a comment below. Your words can be a beacon of light to those who might be navigating the stormy seas of a narcissistic relationship. Also, don't go just yet though. Watch the next video on your screen.